What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with my Destiny Rise of Iron review, and I'm going to do my best to keep this short and sweet, kind of like the new campaign. And I do apologize it took me so long to get this review out. It's just been, real life's been crazy lately, and it's put a little bit of a damper on my YouTube activities, but I promise you guys I'll let you know my thoughts on this expansion. I know a couple of you haven't bought it yet or are still kind of waiting to hear what I think. And I'm just going to get right into it. The first thing I do want to say about Rise of Iron is that, once again, Bungie has overvalued their DLC. As I did that big long video a couple weeks ago where I said, Bungie's always overvalued their DLC. It's usually not worth anywhere near what they price it at. And Rise of Iron is no exception to this. This is not a $30 DLC. There's maybe $10, $15 worth of content at most here. This DLC costs 3/4 of what the Taken King cost, and it doesn't even deliver maybe 20% of what's in the Taken King. The amount of actual PvE content you get in this expansion is a joke. It is a total joke. Just to kind of give you guys an idea, the Rise of Iron quest line, and there's the new mission you play after it to get the new strike and the new Sepix Perfected strike. I was able to play through all of that on 3 characters in total in just about 4 hours. That's all the new story missions, that's the new strikes and everything. Not really that impressive. The story, again, is very shallow. They took a couple steps back from the Taken King, in my opinion. If you guys remember, I was actually fairly complimentary of the Taken King storyline. It was actually really well done. You had characters you actually started to care about. And then they jump right into Rise of Iron with Lord Saladin, who so far has just been a vendor in the game. And he's somewhat of an interesting character, but you don't really get enough to kind of connect with him or the other Iron Lords that are presented. We also don't really get any background story at all in anything. Of course, you have to go read the Grimoire, which is not in the game. And you get this villain, Siva, which is not really explained, and there's really no reason given for why it acts the way it does. And there's really, again, no connection with it. And then when you go to play the raid, you think you're going to maybe get more answers on Siva, but instead you just get a bunch of fallen splicers that, again, are hard to relate with as a villain. They don't really give you that connection with the narrative or anything else. And that's really the problem with Destiny's storytelling in general. And like I said, they seem to have taken a step back from the Taken King. We did get some nice cutscenes in Rise of Iron, but again, not much in terms of a narrative or connecting us with Destiny's main storyline. I mean, here we are in year 3. What happened to the Traveler? Where's the Exo Stranger? Why are these, the main lore pieces of the game that we ran through in the initial vanilla Destiny just completely absent? So overall, I was not really impressed at all with the campaign. Like I said, it's very short. You can probably, even if you're looking for Siva shards and things, you can probably finish it in about an hour and a half, even if you're not even trying. If you are rushing through the missions, you can finish them probably in about 45 minutes. They are that shallow and that quick, very, very linear. There's just really not enough to do here for PvE players. Of course, there's the raid, and people are going to love to play that a million times over. I'm not one of those people. I've played the raid. The raid's actually halfway decent. I'll talk about that more in a second. Now, let's talk about the new zone, which is the Plaguelands. At first, the Plaguelands seems kind of cool. It's like this kind of snowy version of the Cosmodrome, an area we hadn't played before. You are actually able to go back into the old Cosmodrome. Parts of the old Cosmodrome, which are now covered in snow and have some Siva stuff spread throughout them. However, unfortunately, these already existing repainted Cosmodrome zones make up the bulk of the Plaguelands. The actual new spot that you can go into is just a big circle that's mostly filled with travel space through this giant boat and around the other side through an old military bunker. And there's just really not a lot of patrol area there. So even though they said they put this new zone in, it's really not that big. You'll quickly tire out of patrolling the same places over and over again as usual. And once again, this is another problem with Destiny, is why are we getting another area in the Cosmodrome? Why can't we expand to Earth? Why can't we go to the European Plague Zone? Why can't we go to Old Chicago and other places that were promised back when the game was teased at E3 so long ago? Just getting tired of playing through the same spaces and then reusing the same stuff over and over and over again. So, like I said, story, non-existent almost, very shallow. This is not worth $30 whatsoever. Now you have Archon's Forge, which is their new social game mode and patrol in the Plaguelands. It's supposed to be like a combination of Court of Oryx and Prison of Elders. I've played it a couple times. It's interesting when it works. The problem is the way they implemented it is pretty terrible. They've made a couple adjustments with some patches to the way things drop. But overall, Archon's Forge is very unenjoyable. The loot that drops in it is crap. You can play 20, 30 matches and just get a whole bunch of blues, nothing that helps you improve your light level. It's hard to find people to play it. No one's usually there. Now, there is a little trick you can try where you walk past the zone into another area of the Plaguelands and then kind of slowly walk back in, and sometimes it'll instance you in with a bunch of people that are playing. But I've found that not to be the case about 90% of the time. Archon's Forge is just not very well done. And the way that you can't stack the Siva offerings, I mean, I think I was light level in the 330s and I got an offering drop at 360. Well, I can't even play that. I can't play that in any of my characters. Can't find people to play that with. And yet it's going to sit in my inventory and I can't get other Siva offering drops. So I got to stick it in the vault. Well, you can only put one in the vault. So the whole way they implemented it and the whole way they did it is really bad. And I know they're letting the Siva offerings drop now off more stuff in the Archon's Forge so you can continually play. But overall, it's just a really badly done system. It's not very good at all. The Rise of Iron book they give you to work through for achievements is interesting. I thought it was a neat feature at first, but as I played more and more, I quickly realized it's just kind of more of a pointless progression system. All the stuff it gives you, the legendaries, are like drop at 340 when you unlock them, which by the time you get done with the campaign, you should be right around in the 330s. And you're going to get blues that get you up to 340 pretty quick in Rise of Iron. Getting to 340 and then 350 with vendor gear did not take me that long at all. So the Rise of Iron book gives you some of this neat gear, but it doesn't help your progression at all. All it is something you can infuse. So it's kind of like a meaningless reward. It just doesn't really make you feel like you accomplished anything. It's not meaningful progression. Another issue Destiny continues to have with its progression system is you just never really feel accomplished. You continue to feel like you're on that same treadmill running over and over again. You get something, it's like, oh, okay, great, now what do I have to get next? There's no like end goal in sight with the progression system. So the Rise of Iron book, cool idea, but again, poorly implemented. I think the gear it gives should be a little bit more light approach. Maybe you should drop at your light level that you're currently at instead of having to get it and then infuse it with something else. The other thing I've noticed is the drop rates on 3 of coins. The skeleton keys are really super low. I tell you what Bungie has done with Destiny now for me is they've made the game almost completely unenjoyable. They've made the grind for me, and I know for other players, a lot worse than it's ever been in the past with Destiny. And, my 3 of coins drop rate through Rise of Iron has been less than 9%, and I've used probably almost 100 of those things. And it's just terrible. It's awful. And it's really difficult if you're a solo player or a casual player to actually level up. I'm kind of stuck right now on the treadmill between 350 and 365, which I know a lot of people are having issues with. One of my main problems so far with the loot system, especially the smart loot system, I hear all the YouTubers really give this a lot of credit all the time, but I think it's terrible. I keep getting the same stuff over and over and over again. I've leveled up Crucible about 4 times, and I've got the same pair of gauntlets from Shaxx every single time. I've leveled up Dead Orbit about 5 times. I've gotten their auto rifle in 4 of those packages. The other day, I actually made a video about this, but it got corrupted, so I didn't get to post it. But I was doing the Rise of Iron, the new Iron Banner bounties, and I opened those bounties. Now give you legendary gear. Well, I opened the bounties, and then I also got my rank 3 package with Aphrodite, and 3 of my 5 legendary rewards were the exact same pair of boots. So I continually get the exact same thing. I've had several secondary exotic engrams. They've all decoded into the 4th Horseman. And it irritates me. My other problem, too, is a lot of people are saying you have to use these packages to level yourself up. This is how you progress in the light level. Well, all my packages, they've either been like +1 light or actually the same or a little bit lower light than what I'm wearing at the time. So again, that system's not working for me. And it just makes the game frustrating. I don't have a lot of time to play like I used to. I can maybe play for 2 or 3 hours a night. And I actually do make pretty good use of my time. I'll get on and play a lot of things, finish a lot of bounties. I usually get a couple of rank up packages when I play each night, play a little bit of PvP. And it's like, I just feel like I didn't get anywhere. I'll open 2 or 3 packages and it's like, I'll increase like maybe half a light level. And it's not really fun anymore. And of course the raid is going to be a main area to get higher light level items. but I'm not really interested in playing the same exact content hundreds of times over and over and over again. So again, if you're kind of on the fence and you were thinking about getting this expansion and you're one of those more solo casual players, I'd skip it and again go find another game, because it's, if anything, the grind has just gotten worse, at least for me. I don't want to grind the same exact strikes over and over and over and over and over again. That's just not fun. You know, I know a lot of people were doing farming Omnigul and farming the Shield Brothers and the other strikes, but it's just not fun to do the exact same thing so many times over and over and over again when you're not getting anything for it, and especially since those skeleton keys are dropping so rarely. I'd love to get some of the strike-specific loot, but it's just almost impossible to get skeleton keys, it seems, off these strike bosses. So moving on, the raid is actually probably, again, the highlight, which it usually is when these expansions drop. The raid is not as in-depth as past raids, but I think they did it on purpose because they just want people to be able to play through it quickly. And you can play through it pretty quickly. It's got a very good mix of mechanics and short time to keep people a little bit more interested, I think. I know on some of the longer raids like King's Fall, people kind of get burned out. They just don't want to do it. But yeah, so good raid as usual. That's something I usually give Bungie credit for. Every single raid in the game has been very enjoyable. I really wish they'd bring the older raids up to current light level gear so you could go play them and continue to enjoy them, because I think newer players need to definitely have that experience with Vault of Glass. And even Crota's End. I had a lot of fun with Crota's End, you know, when House of Wolves was out, running Crota's End all the time. So, good job on the raid, but that's pretty much a given with these expansions. But the raid is not worth spending $30 just to get that. They've got private matches, which of course is something, it's a good thing. But again, like I always say, it should have been in the game at launch. It's kind of sad that it took this long to get a basic feature into the game. I can imagine if Call of Duty or Halo or another major first-person shooter dropped and didn't have a private match feature right at launch, they would get absolutely raked over the coals. Bungie takes 2+ years to put it in the game, and they want to get all this credit for it, which I really just don't understand their design, their thoughts on their designs. Now, along with private matches, they brought a new game mode in, which is Supremacy, which is essentially just kill confirmed from Modern Warfare 3. And they also decided to make Supremacy this Iron Banner. And one of the reasons I wanted to wait to put this review out, I wanted to play Iron Banner first to see how it went. It's horrible. I hate it. Now, Supremacy, in theory, would be an interesting game mode type. I honestly loved Kill Confirmed in Modern Warfare 3. It's one of my favorite game modes, but actually playing Supremacy was so awful it made me want to go play Call of Duty again, which that takes a lot. What they've done is just basically led to the rise of shotguns once again. Supremacy is basically a secondary-only game mode. Everybody's running around with shotguns, and of course, Shaxx gives the Matador 64 if you finish your Crucible quest with him. And it's just back to the same old long-range shotguns, getting one-shot killed everywhere, complete chaos, and to me, that's just not an Iron Banner game mode. Supremacy would be fun in a Mayhem playlist, I think, but I don't think it has any place in a competitive setting. It has no place in Iron Banner. It's just really unenjoyable, especially since a lot of the people you get paired up with don't know what they're doing. People in Destiny, for the most part, don't play objectives. And you've got a bunch of people who don't collect crests. And the game mode is actually pretty easy to win if you have a smart team that knows how to stick together and kind of play a little almost passively defensively and make the other team get impatient and come to you. But for the most part, that hasn't been my experience. It's been the least enjoyable Iron Banner so far for me. And overall, Supremacy is a game mode. Like I said, it's very fun, but it's not something that I feel is like a competitive mode. It should definitely stay in just like a Mayhem playlist. And you're just going to run in there and have shotgunning Titans and shotgunning melee Warlocks. It's pretty much their expansion so far with PvP. But not a fan of Supremacy at all, especially in Iron Banner. And like I said, very sad because I loved it in Modern Warfare 3. And I think the big problem with it in Destiny is the maps in PvP are just so small. They don't support more of a balanced game type with multiple different weapon types being used. So all you're going to get in Supremacy is just a shotgun fest. And I liked it in Modern Warfare 3 where it was kind of cool. You had to pick up the dog tags, but it was it was a much slower pace. You had a more open maps. You could use all kinds of different weapons. And it was a lot more fun in Call of Duty, which is kind of sad. But yeah, so not a great idea. And again, Modern Warfare 3 had kill confirmed when it came out. I mean, that was back, 2011? We're talking about something that's been in games and in PvP type games for at least 5 years. And again, you have Bungie just now getting around to it. This is a game mode that should have been in Destiny at launch. And it just drives me nuts how they continue to package content into these expansions and try to hype them up and make them cost, you know, 30, 40 bucks. And it's something that should have been in the game for free when the game first came out. So that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't really have much else to talk about. I can give some more personal insights. Like we're what, 3 weeks into the expansion. I still have yet to find the Gjallarhorn quest. I just simply cannot get it to pop up when I go look for it. I've yet to get the Thorn bounty. I know you can get Thorn again in year 2. So that's just kind of annoying. I did get the Kvostov. That was pretty easy to actually get that. I seriously doubt I will ever see the raid exotic pulse rifle, so I'm not really too concerned about that. Mostly all the way through my Rise of Iron book, except for the raid stuff, which, like I said, I'm not going to play the raid 400 times over and over and over again and just, you know, beat my head against a wall trying to get up 2 or 3 more light. It's lost its luster for me. There just, to me, is not really much of a point to play Destiny anymore, especially if you're more of a casual player. And I think this expansion is going to wind up weeding out a lot of those players, which Bungie's going to realize they make up a large amount of the player base. Not everybody in Destiny can play for 10 hours a day and is not some YouTuber or streamer. You know, so that's something they really need to take into consideration. The other thing is, too, with this expansion is this going to be it until Destiny 2 comes out? Because that's pretty much what they've, you know, indicated so far, that, you know, they're going to bring back Sparrow Racing League, which, you know, who really cares? That's not content that's going to keep people satisfied for a while. They said they'd have Festival of Lost back. Again, who cares? Just more meaningless, kind of silly content. It's not anything meaningful that actually is worth it to play in the game. And if this is all there is to hold people over until Destiny 2, I just don't see it happening. There's been a lot of news on Destiny 2 lately, which I'll probably do a video on, talking about how it's coming to PC and some of this other stuff, which we'll chat about that later. But overall, very disappointing expansion, especially for me. I was thinking this might be an expansion that got me back into Destiny. I was thinking this was something that, you know, might pick up where the Taken King left off with the story improvements. But again, they've just seems like they've just regressed. And again, very light on substance, very high on price. I won't even get into the whole debacle with the silver dust and how much money you have to spend on that nonsense if you want to get ornaments. Just another microtransaction cash grab by Bungie on that one, and probably Activision. But really not much has changed with Destiny, unfortunately, with this new expansion. The grind is back. You're going to be back on that loot treadmill, banging your head against the wall. You know, and I know people are going to come on and say, oh, I managed to get this, and I farmed this, and I got to this level. Well, that's, you know, I guess it's different. My RNG in this game has been just absolutely god-awful. Anyways, guys, I think I've rambled on long enough. This went way longer than I thought it would. I would love to hear your thoughts on Rise of Iron down below. I always love to have the discussion with you guys. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you found this helpful. Thanks, as always, for watching, and I'll see you again next time.